Behold my strength.
Presents Fanfic Drama Theater, bringing you the absolute pinnacle of internet fanfiction since 2000 and whenever I started. Now please give a big round of applause for your host, me! Thank you. Once again, you're too kind. Now, for episode 3 of FFDT, we're going to be reading through a short story hosted on fanfiction.net. Unleash your imagination. Now, of course, this fanfiction is brought to us by the good author, the Royal Swordsman, and is titled Squadron, Rouge Mercenaries. So let's dive right in, shall we? Squadron, Rouge Mercenaries, Chapter 1. He sat behind that desk at Base 88 and stared at the map of the land and at the first target. The first target was a base in the desert, where the enemy was building an ultimate tank to use against the forces of good. From what the spies had told us, the tank was armed with 4 to 6 missile launcher and several smaller rocket launchers. However, the weakness was some sort of crystal which was placed in front of the missile launcher. If we aim our Vulcan cannons at this crystal, it would hurt the tank immensely. And from what the spies have said, the color of the crystal determines the tank's health, the man said. He was a tall man. He had long, shoulder-length hair, and had an X on his forehead. The X was said to be a scar he got from a POW camp during one of the past wars. He was the man for intelligence. He knew much about the enemy forces from his great network of spies and agents. If there was something to find, they could get it. If there was information to get, they could get it. They were invincible, and feared, the spies of the mercenary intelligence. I love how he's able to spell mercenary right, fucked up on rogue and put rouge. That's classic fanfiction right there. The other thing that was feared about the mercenary company were the pilots. 3 men and 1 girl. Wolf Stiletto, Mickey M... Greg Banks, and finally the girl of the group, Shin Kamaza. And wait, what? Didn't he just fuck up on all those names immensely? And who the fuck is Wolf Stiletto? Maybe you unlock him in the arcade version by inputting the Konami code. It was not widely known that Shin was a girl. She looked a little like a guy, but it was not fully known. She had long blonde hair, but no one really saw the other person without his or her pilot suit on. So, when Shin had her helmet on, one of her blue eyes were visible. The other was behind a thick lock of blonde hair. Shin, however, was a very talented pilot. And no one really bothered her when it came to gender, or their real name. The other pilots were different. They were easy to know. The oldest pilot was a man named Greg Banks, who was in his middle 30s. He was a short man, who wore his old green pilot suit. He was a pilot known for his ability to fly even the most damaged pilot. Wait, what? Oh, that's really sick, man. So what is he, like a medical doctor? He rides the injured pilots into the operating room? How dare you say that about the great man-beast known as Greg Gates? He can't swing that way. I mean, just look at that beard. Any man with a beard like that cannot possibly be gay. It's just a law of nature. Whatever. Let's get back to the story. Perhaps this came from the times when the mercenary company wasn't winning all the time. The cost of a new plane is much more than repairing a damaged one. Greg was good at keeping the plane he bought alive and well. Well, good for the plane. I'm sure it's very happy. The next pilot was Mickey M... I can't even get his fucking name right. Jesus, you'd think if you were going to write a fanfiction, you'd get their names right, for fuck's sake. And he was a pilot of his early 30s. Mickey was a fairly experienced pilot who wore his new blue pilot suit in his plane. He was a tall pilot with blonde hair, and people enjoyed his company well. He was a pilot known to be able to handle many different weapons at once. He could drop bombs while firing his Vulcan cannon, and shooting missiles all at the same time. He was a good man, and he and Greg usually got along very well. Together they were the oldest pilots of the group. The next man was the new guy, a few years out of pilot school. His name was Wolf Stiletto, and one may think it an odd name, and strangely, it is his real name. Wolf is the youngest pilot, in his middle 20s, with Shin being a year ahead of him. Wolf wore a gray pilot suit, and his helmet shield was usually down. He did not want the enemy seeing the expression on his face. Yes, of course, because everybody knows that a person on the ground can automatically see the face of the pilot of a plane that's traveling faster than the speed of sound as they bomb him. Makes perfect sense to me. Wolf was a talented pilot. he having the ability to dodge a great deal of enemy fire, while still completing the mission he was assigned. Usually that's how you complete missions, I thought, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the goal is to take as much enemy fire and then, bomb them. I don't know. I'm not a pilot, fuck, hell. Mainly, he was very agile in the cockpit. I bet he was. Him and Greg probably get along real well. He had made himself a good reputation in the few missions he has flown, and those 4 people, Greg, Mickey, Shen, and Wolf, were the fighter pilots of the mercenary company, feared by some enemy pilots, and of course, loathed by the enemy.
So, we shoot the crystal over and over, and the tank is destroyed?
Mickey asked. That is what the spies have made of it, Intelligence X said.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get out there,
Greg said. The end. Oh, I do so enjoy modern art masterpieces like that one. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at some of the reviews. The site's native communist wrote, "A killer start, comrade. It looks like you're going with a straight port of some flavor of the original game, and I respect that. I've long been toying with the idea of doing a novelization of the game. I think I may try that since there is a category up for it. If you have not lost heart from the flaming hyphen holes that gave you bad reviews, I'd advise you continue. Mavericks are always a good thing around this site, :P. Keep 'em coming, comrade. You have not given up hope of anyone actually enjoying this. I, at least, shall." Now, while the commie had a good review of this game, there were others on the opposite side of the spectrum. This guy wrote, "Jake and George, Febjack, Jake or J. Your fic was so bad, in a very rude way. Sorry I flamed you. Ha 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 ha. You are an idiot!" So which review was correct? I shall leave that for you, my humble viewers, to decide. Well, that's about all the time we have, so I hope you enjoyed, and please be sure to join us for episode 4 of Fanfic Drama Theater, coming whenever I find another worthless piece of shit fanfic to read.